I want to welcome again Montse Daban from Biocat. She will go on with the idea of pioneering the change. This is a panel also organized by Biocat, and Montse is going to have on this panel David Moner from Veratech for Health, Elena Santana from Naro Intelligent, and Taryn Andersen from Impulse for Women. And as we said, they all are going to keep on with the idea of pioneering the change. So from computer science, AI, and investment sectors, how are they pioneering the change on the health sector? So, Montse?
Thank you very much again. I like when you mentioned about the literacy, and I also want to include another concept that it was kind of struck me when I was reading that a few days ago, which is data poverty. So if it's about sharing and the true value of data, it's when it's shared, is there a risk that not sharing can bring you a data poverty for some regions, for some countries? This is an interesting idea. Many interesting ideas. I also listened to you when you said about entrepreneurship sees with good eyes, of course, the healthcare costs, but at the same time, the trend is trying to reduce from the innovation the healthcare cost. So this is a dilemma, probably. So things to think about that. And then another nice idea we were discussing yesterday, and I will ask you to talk a little bit about that, which is the Spotify of health data, just to get many likes to the data you have. So that's something that we can also bring later to the panel. But I like to welcome also the panelists from now, from the computer science, from the AI, and from the investment sectors, how they are pioneering this change also. So I'd like to welcome Taryn Andersen from Women for Tech. I'd like to welcome also David Moner from Veratech and to welcome Elena Santana from Naro Intelligence. So Taryn, this is about social impact from your perspective also. Taryn, she's CEO at this NGO that is a female tech supportive organization, pioneering the change from that regard. Providing also support for growth of these female tech businesses, and also but looking at this social impact. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about that for a few moments. I'd also want to introduce, now take this moment to introduce David Moner. David, he's at Veratech. He also says that from computer science, it's easy to have a social impact. So I'd like to know about that. He's an expert in semantics and interoperability. And also, I'd like to introduce Elena. Elena, she is a biomedical researcher in her heart, but now she's working with AI, which brings her closer to patients, and we'd like to know how. So please, every one of you have like a few minutes to give your statements, and we will have some questions. Please also know that from the audience, you can also ask questions. There will be a mic available over there, but please, we're going to combine this at the end, but think of something that can challenge them. They are also asked to think things that can challenge among them, because I asked them to tell what keeps them awake at night on their respective environments. So please, Taryn.
Thank you very much. First, it's very special to be here because our launching of Impulse for Women, we did it in Tech Spirit, the first edition. So it's very nice to be here. My background is coming from the private banking. Then I moved in 2016 to venture capital, based in Barcelona, called TH Venture Capital. We are investing in the United States and Canada since 2008, and one of the verticals that we have been always covering has been health tech. In 2017, we started with Impulse for Women, an NPO in connecting female tech entrepreneurs, founders, co-founders, Series C level with investors, and we're covering since the MVP until the IPO. Today we are 11,000 startups, 6,000 in Europe, 3,000 in North America, 1,000 LATAM, and the big point is that 40% of them, they are in the health tech ecosystem. Besides, in 2019, I started in the European Commission as a jury member at the EIC, covering the health tech vertical. So after all these things, we are like trying to support female tech entrepreneurs with the investors and also from the grants experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Taryn. I will also ask you to address some of the things that Bjorn was mentioning from your perspective, these changes, this transformation, this social impact that is the next way of working in collaboration. So any thoughts about that?
Health tech, for sure, is always related to the social impact. Besides, through our website, when we were covering and making a call out in order to have all these females projects, we included some questions regarding the CDG goals. Basically, because in 2017 there was no so much metrics about it, and it was not so huge. So we got a very big surprise when we realized that 70% of the 11,000 startups, they were covering more than 4 or 5 CDG goals. One is due to the sector, as I said, because so 40% are in health tech, but 20% are in education tech, and the other 20% is food tech, agri-tech, water tech. So in one way or another one, we also discovered that we decided to build up this project through the through the European Commission with a Women in Science. We discovered that we got like 180. There were probably much more. But when we make this call out the first time, there were a lot of females with 1 PhD, 2 PhD, 5 patents in the drawer. And we were like, come on, let's gonna see how you can make this step forward. We're gonna, during 3 months, we were teaching them how to bring from the entrepreneurship into the market, and through 2 ways. One, showing them how to make it, to become an entrepreneur, and the other one, introducing potential co-founders that they were already in the commercial side and they know how to go to the market. This is one of the things that I'm most proud of it, and it really get a lot of impact. From the 180, we got 50 that they already went to the market, and we are still making this project. We're going to repeat it for the next year, and I will be super happy also to count on you.
Thank you, Taryn. I think we will come later to the investors' landscape, because there are so many interesting, movements in that area also. But let's now move to David. I like when you say that you are the united knowledge of healthcare. That's a bit like a statement, okay? Yeah. For someone that is working on semantic interoperability. And also, I want you to have this, these few minutes or 5 minutes with the audience, and also address something that we were talking yesterday about, which is the complexity of the Spanish healthcare system. We are in Catalonia, you come from Valencia. Every health system, and how you cope with that, which are your customers, from your perspective, requesting from you, and which is your perspective at the European level?
Okay, thank you for the invitation in the first place. Well, United Health of Knowledge is not what we are, it's what we expect to get into. In fact, the name of my company is Biocat, and it's technology that you can trust. At the end, that's one of the key points, is that it's not just technology per se, it's that you have to build some technology that helps and you can trust and you can give your life to that, because we are talking of health in this case. Bjorn told something that is very interesting, and you said also that it's easy to use technology or computer science into the tech. It's not because it's easy. I would not say it's easy. It's possible, because at the end we are talking of information, and information is the key point in the current society. And again, the important thing is how to use it correctly, because this is a technological society, that's for sure, and probably the question is not what tech will give to the society, but what the society can teach the people that works in technology, because again, it's not just to put technology because of it. We have to have a reason for that. And I think that's a key point that we have always to have in mind. Regarding the question about the complexity of the market. Probably it's not the market itself, it's the domain, again, health. Health is probably the most complex domain where technology can be applied. If not the most, I think it's the most complex one, or probably between the most complex, because it's dealing with the lives of the people. We cannot assume an error, for example, if we create an algorithm that helps a doctor to have a diagnosis or something like that. The error cannot exist there because we are dealing with the life of that people. So it's very, very important to no, we are talking of the complexity. So it's very, very important that we deal with that amount of information correctly, and that's where is the complexity. Not because there are 17 regions or there are political problems in the regions or whatever. It's because the information itself we are working with is very complex, and that's the real problem, and that's the real thing we have to face and we have to solve using technology.
But are not we making it more complex by the way we are storing, we are gathering, we are putting this data, for example, in the electronic records, for example. So aren't we making it more complex than it should be? Is there like something we can do about that? About the models
I don't
that we are
think
using?
we are talking of health. We are not making it more complex. The problem is that the health science, let's say, has not faced a real formalization until now. If we think of any other sciences since the 17th century, if we think of mathematics, if we think of chemistry, they have already formalized the knowledge. They have already created, well, the mathematical symbols that everyone in the world can understand. But when we come to health, to the information that is registered, for example, in a health record, we are now working towards that normalization. And that's what it seems more complex, because it's something that in other fields, they have been for centuries have done that. But we are not doing that because, again, computer science makes it a bit more easy to deal with that amount of information, that different, so much different information. So.
And what is your top service to the customers that you have in your company?
It's consultancy. Again, we are a very small company, and what we sell is knowledge. We are really not developers. We are a technical company, but what we are interested in sharing our knowledge with the people to educate them in using innovative technologies, innovative, in this case, information models for managing their information. We are not developing, for example, final solutions for final users, in our case. So that's the value we put on what we sell, let's say. No? We are firmly believe in sharing the knowledge.
So what you provide is actually really relevant for the European health data space. We will come to that later also with Elena, but any insights on that? Is it really opening your scope to work with health systems or customers in the framework of the European health data space? What do you expect from that?
Probably when we go out from our region, for example, for a specific hospital, what we learn, and if you think in a European level or at worldwide level, what we learn is that even if we are looking forward that standardization somehow on managing the information, we always have to respect the specific needs in every place. So we have to combine those two things, the having some rules that are shared, but also be enough flexible to adapt to the specific needs of every part or every region in Europe or worldwide.
Okay. Thank you. Then, and now we move to Elena. Thank you also for being here. Like I said, you work on AI from the biomedical research area to the AI area. AI Act, the European AI Act, says that in healthcare applications, medical devices applications, this is classified as high risk. So this means that it has to be managed with a stringent transparency. So the quality, the risk assessment, the risk management, the documentation, the conformity that has to accompany every process that deals with AI and health has to be at the forefront. So it's like a balance between the burdens that you will find to deal with that and the trust that you're generating because of that. So I will ask you a little bit, Darcy, so from your AI work perspective, is really health transforming this kind of stringencies are going to transform also AI? Which is your deal here?
The point here is when we when we work with data related with patient, we have to be extremely careful. You have to be fully regulated because you are dealing with very sensitive data that can be used to other purposes. So it has to be fully regulated. For me, working with artificial intelligence is fascinating. I came from the biomedical and the research, and for me it was a huge step to work with artificial intelligence. But the point is that you don't even notice, but we live surrounded by artificial intelligence right now. Just to put an example, when you use Google Maps to go to point A to point B, you're not only looking for the best way to go to point A to point B. This application is collecting information that provides you in the future information about your preference of routes to avoid traffic, to select the most your preference of route. So it's a way to anticipate, to know your needs, and to help you to make better decisions. This is applied to health too. So right now we have a lot of examples of how artificial intelligence is being used in health, like, for example, these devices for glucose measurement to provide you information about how can be your diet to get a better life, to make a better decision-making. And I think that all this information cannot be a risk. We need to have all this information in the proper way, but we need to have it to translate all this statement about artificial intelligence, that is to make better decisions, to anticipate, and to provide the information to healthcare professionals and decision makers, and to patients to get the information to take the better decisions. So I think that the risks are there, but we need to find a way to avoid these risks, and we need to find a way to use all this information properly to get all these benefits that we know that we can have. David was talking earlier about this information and what can we do for the patients, and I think that it's very important to take in consideration the needs of the patients in order to develop the technology to support the patients and to get all this information.
Well, thank you, Elena. I will ask you one question now. I will also ask the question to the audience. So please start thinking about that, because this is something I always ask when we talk about these aspects, is who owns the data? Are really patients the owners of data? And it has a lot of implications. It has legal implications. It has also implications. And we put this example, like two siblings. You probably don't want to share your genomic data, but your sibling is sharing it. So there's some dilemma here that still has to be solved, and it has a huge implications for the European health data space. So I will also ask you this as AI expert now. Who owns the data? Probably we will not agree about that, but anyway.
I think that this is a very complex question because the limits are a little blurred. In my opinion, the patients have the data, but the keepers of the data are the hospitals. You go to the hospital, and the hospital have the data. So I think that the point here is not what the patient can do with the data, because the fact is I don't think that the patient can do whatever they want with them. It's what can do the hospitals with the data that are the keepers now.
But this is a true question here, because this is about the secondary use of data and how this data can be also actually monetized somehow. Those are issues that are being dealt with the European health data space. I know this is a little bit out of the program, but I'd like Bjorn to join us here, because you're going to be asked also, and I just move a little bit further. So because I asked you all what keeps you awake at night, and I want you to put this in a time capsule, and in 5-year times, open it and see if it's solved. So please, Bjorn.
Wow, you surprised me there. So,
Yeah,
okay.
I know, but you know I always surprise you somehow.
No, but one thing that we also actually discussed briefly yesterday that I've been thinking about the last days is that talking about owning or controlling the data about me. The last time I had a discussion with the advisor of my retirement money, my pension, we did it over digitally, over a link, and he asked me all the time to, validate that he's able to see my data. And we can do that in Sweden. We have something called Bank ID, which is an electronic identification in my phone. So several times during this discussion, he wanted to approach different data about me. And within seconds, he had that data, and he could aggregate it, he could work with it, he can, come up with new solutions for my future wealth. And I've been thinking about why can't they do the same thing for my health data? When I go to the doctor, that I can either 15 minutes in advance or one day in advance or something, just to give them the opportunity to use my data for a specific amount of time, and then after that it's locked again, and it's up to me to control it. That's one thing I'm thinking about.
So then you will get those likes that you're seeking in the Spotify of data?
Oh, but you're talking about the other thing, Spotify of data. No, that was another, just an idea that we have that to govern data, we need, a protocol that can handle the legislation, can handle economic factors, can handle, the different means of standardizing and using the data. But you also have probably data in different sources. It could also be sources that are, decentralized somehow. It could be one researcher's data. Somehow, some people want a kickback for that. And, most of you maybe use Spotify, the music service, and, anyone can upload songs to Spotify. If no one listens to it, you don't get any kickback, any money. But if people listen to it, you get a few öre, it's called in Sweden. It's a part of a crown. And the more people that use it, the better. So maybe we can do something similar with data as well. Find the means for a protocol to be able to provide you with kickback when someone uses your data to aggregate it and come up with a solution to something. I think it would be interesting.
That would probably solve many issues, provided it is under the AI EU Act.
Always
so it's
in
safe
regards to European legislation.
EU values. Elena, what keeps you awake, and what would you like to see when you open the time capsule in 5-year time?
Well, what keeps me awake is when I came to these amazing events, and you see new technologies, you see new ideas that can be implemented. What keeps me awake is how to convince or how to talk to the authorities, to the healthcare, to the decision makers, and also patients and people in general, that these all new technologies, artificial intelligence, all these new ideas are not a threat, are the future. And it will help us to this anticipation, this prevention, to make better decisions, and how to convince people that this, because I understand that technology is something that develops and advances too fast. And sometimes it's hard to understand. So for me, it's to try to find these statements to convince people that this technology is not a threat.
Okay, that's a good thought. Let's keep it in the capsule and see in 5 years. So, David, Probably, I will just give a clue here. What about going from interoperability to intraoperability? That's a possibility, which is the thought that you will keep in that time capsule for 5 years.
Well, before of that, I also want to talk about what keeps me
awake. Of course.
At the end,
I thought that kept you awake at night.
Yeah, also too. But there is a most important thing for me is that we fall in the mistake that technology, and specifically artificial intelligence, is magic. And it's not. I mean, they are algorithms, and they have to work with the right data. You have talked about the management of data. I prefer talking of the management of the knowledge, of the semantics, of the meaning of that data, because if we don't have that, solved, we cannot develop further things, further technology, further artificial intelligence solutions if we don't know the semantics of that data. And I think some people can be thinking that we can leap that part. We can forget about that part and just go to a solution of. And there is a cartoon that is if you have a pile of trash, if your data is a pile of trash, you will only get trash decisions. And
I like that idea because I also read that data is the oil. We say that data is the oil of the future, but as the oil, it has to be of quality, it has to be refined, and it has to be also mined somehow. So there's a lot of work to be done there to have data of quality and not just trash. So, yeah. Anything else?
Well, regarding that word interoperability, that is also very, very common, it's again about the same. I mean, if we can give semantics, if we can really describe the meaning of the data, then we will be able to share it. And sharing, as Bjorn said, is essential also to go to bigger things.
Thank you, David. Taryn.
Thank you.
Same question.
I'm going to go through as an entrepreneur. As entrepreneurs, when you receive it, they cannot validate anything without data, correct? And actually, when you sit as an investor, you're looking, okay, how many users, how many patients, where is your trial group? That's okay. But then, if you're going from the perspective of a patient, where's your data going? How much liars are they there? Are they going there? Are they going only for the entrepreneur? Are they going to the hospital? Are they going to the governments? Are they going to a pharma that is going to be buying later the entrepreneur, the company? I think that here we have a lot of question marks and it's not properly defined. And this is a question that we always do to the entrepreneurs, like, okay, show me your data. No? Let me know how much are you for and how many patients and how many. And today it's not any regulation at all like that. It's like, boom, super open. And in one day, we'll arrive one moment that we need our privacy in order to say, okay, I want to remove it. How are we going to remove it? You don't even know where is it. Like everyone could get your as a patient, I'm talking. There's nothing that you could choose if you want to be unknown or unknown at all. And I think that here is a lag. And in longer terms, I think that we should be on top of that, even though that is the most beneficial things that could happen is artificial intelligence in health. That will avoid a lot of problems. But here is a lack.
And yeah, I agree that this is something that we have to keep in the top of our minds. Which is the investment landscape that you expect to see on that regard? For women mainly, but in general, in the next years?
I think that here we're going a little bit from the investment perspective. In general terms, VCs, they're not investing in hardware is easy. Artificial intelligence, very good. Software is quickly, and they're going in. They could go to investing to another sector or vertical as well. When we're talking about deep tech, there's coming much more knowledge. And it's not the same biotech that health tech with hardware in it. There are also specific VCs, and they have. If I were an entrepreneur, when I'm depending on the type of entrepreneurship that I'm trying to develop, I will try to analyze which type of investors are there aligned, because you can say that you're investing in health tech, but it's not the same. At biotech, normally they're 100% specific in this field. Those that they're also investing in hardware, for sure. The point is that this sector, if you an R&D behind, is going to take you a lot of time from the TRL 6 until TRL 9 to invest. So this is going to be a different type of investment behind, or grants, or corporates that they will be also supporting, or SPACs as well. So it depends a little bit of the type of startup that you're building. Then you have different types of approach to the investors.
Okay, so nobody asked me, but I will say that in the future I'd like to see from the patient to the investor. So starting with the patient, the needs of the patient, all the technologies aligned, and invested from a broad perspective, a holistic view, to get the solution to the patient. So that's an idea also for the future. I think we have time for half a burning question, but we can make it one. Has anybody a burning question or an answer about who owns the data? It's your time now. No? Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, Pilar.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's not a question, it's just a thought that came to my mind just now. And originally I would think the data belongs to the data creator, which is the patient, right? I would like to think that it belongs to us, to me, my own data. But I believe that it's so important to share the data so that we progress in health, that now I think that if I had the power to decide or to regulate, I would force that this data is used by the hospitals or by the startups that are trying to help the patients at the end. So if you let maybe people decide if they want to share it or not, you have the risk that they decide not to share it. It can be anonymized, or I don't know how you say that, you understand, no? But do you see my point? Am I right or wrong?
I think this is a nice thought. I don't know if we don't have many time for. We don't have time for answers probably. But I think that to keep this idea, I think this is a very nice thought. Harmonizing is the way to do it. Data only have value if shared. We said that, and when it's gathered in with other data, it's not your data anymore. So this is some thoughts that can bring the final of the discussion here. So unless you have a burning answer to that. We leave it here because we have the next people, the next panel here already. I thank you everyone for being here. I thank also Miquel. Tech Barcelona always trusts us to organize this health panel, and it's amazing being here year after year. So thank you for that, and thank you everybody, and thank you the panelists and the speaker.
Thank you, Montse. Thank you for hosting these two sessions organized by Biocat. I think that question would lead to another whole panel, so maybe just another chance.